You know that moment when you're staring at your bank account and you see the number $10,000 for the first time in your life and your brain just short circuits. You're not sure whether to scream, cry, or immediately spend half of it on something stupid. I get it. That $10,000 milestone feels impossible when you're living paycheck to paycheck, and then suddenly it shows up and you're convinced it's a mistake or a glitch in the system. But here's what I've learned after talking to hundreds of people about their money. That first $10,000 is actually the hardest money you'll ever make. Not from an earning perspective, but from a psychological one. It's not about the income. It's about what happens to you once you hit that number. My name is John, and I've spent way too much time thinking about why people self-sabotage right at the moment they're about to break through to actual wealth. If you've ever felt like you're trapped in a financial loop that keeps pulling you back down no matter how hard you climb, stick around, because this is the pattern we're going to break today. The crazy thing about money is that the actual amount doesn't matter nearly as much as what happens in your head when you have it. I've seen people making $50,000 a year build $10,000 in savings, while people making $150,000 a year can't seem to hold on to a single dollar. The difference isn't their income, it's that first $10,000. Once you hit it, something shifts. You feel successful. You feel like you finally made it. And that feeling of success is exactly what destroys most people's financial futures. Because success feels like permission to relax. Success feels like you've earned the right to stop being careful. You've done the hard part, right? You've proven you can save money. Now you can treat yourself. You can upgrade your lifestyle. You can finally afford that thing you've been wanting. But here's what actually happens to 90% of people the moment they hit $10,000. They spend it. Sometimes they spend it slowly over 6 months on little things they convince themselves they need. Sometimes they spend it quickly on one big thing they've been justifying in their head for years. But almost always, they spend it. Almost all of it. The truck that's been calling their name finally gets financed. The vacation that would have been irresponsible last year suddenly becomes essential to their mental health. The relationship between having $10,000 and spending it is so tight that most people don't even realize there's a window there. There's a window where you could actually choose to not spend it. A window where you could take that $10,000 and leverage it into 20, then 50, then 100. But that window closes fast. It closes the moment you start convincing yourself that you deserve a break. And here's the thing that really gets me. You absolutely do deserve a break. You've worked hard. You've sacrificed. You've skipped nights out and packed your own lunch and made difficult financial decisions that most people wouldn't have the discipline to make. So from an emotional perspective, spending that money makes perfect sense. Your brain is literally rewarding you for your good behavior. It's saying, hey, you did it. You saved money. You're successful. Now treat yourself. But from a financial perspective, that's exactly the trap that keeps people poor forever. Let me paint you a picture of what most people don't understand about the power of that first $10,000. If someone takes that $10,000 and invests it at an average return of 8% annually, after 10 years, they'll have about $21,000. After 20 years, they'll have about $47,000. After 30 years, we're talking about over $100,000. They didn't add another penny, not a single additional contribution. That $10,000 became all that money by just sitting there working for them. The miracle of compounding means your money starts making money on itself. But the moment they spend it, that $100,000 disappears entirely. It's not just the $10,000 that's gone. It's all the money that $10,000 would have become. This is why I call it the impossible trap. You finally achieve financial success by hitting $10,000, your brain congratulates you and gives you permission to spend it, and then you're back at zero, starting the climb all over again. And if you fall for this trap once, the odds of you avoiding it the second time are pretty much zero. You've already proven to yourself that you can't hold on to money once you have it. Why would the third time be any different? Most people repeat this cycle 5 or 6 times before they finally give up and resign themselves to working forever. The real mechanics of this trap are actually pretty interesting from a psychology perspective. Your brain has been trained by a decade of scarcity thinking to believe that money is for spending. When you have $0, there's nothing to psychologically manage. When you have $100, you're still operating from a scarcity mindset, so you're careful. But when you have $10,000, something fundamental changes in how your brain processes the world. For the first time in a long time, you feel abundant. You feel different. Your brain tells you that abundance is a sign. It's time to upgrade your life. It's time to spend that money on the things that abundance is supposed to buy you. So you look around your life and you suddenly notice all these things you've been doing without. You notice that your car is old and unreliable. You notice that your furniture is worn out and uncomfortable. You notice that your wardrobe is pathetic and embarrassing. You notice that you've been denying yourself experiences that you actually deserve. These things weren't problems yesterday when you had $0. But today, with $10,000 in your account, they feel like urgent problems that demand immediate solutions. Your brain is literally trying to restore equilibrium by spending the money. It's trying to match your external circumstances to your sense of identity and success as someone who has finally made it. This is why discipline matters so much more than people realize, because the person who can look at $10,000 and say, "Not yet. I'm going to keep working with this money instead of spending it," that person is going to be wealthy. That person is going to compound their money over decades. That person is going to eventually reach a point where they don't have to work anymore because their money is working for them. But the person who sees $10,000 and thinks about all the ways they can spend it, that person is going to be working until they're 80 years old. The difference isn't intelligence. It's not luck. It's not how much they earn. It's literally just the ability to delay gratification when you finally feel like you've earned the right to stop delaying. Here's what I would do if I hit $10,000 tomorrow. And honestly, this is exactly what I recommend to anyone who reaches this milestone. First, I would not touch that money. I would move it to a separate bank account that I couldn't access immediately. Maybe I'd put it in a high-yield savings account that takes a few days to transfer funds back to my checking account. The friction of the delay would give me time to talk myself out of spending it. Second, I would find something else to work on. This is the most important part. Most people hit $10,000 and then they stop working toward the next goal. They think they're done. They think they can rest now. But that's when your brain has the most power to convince you to spend it. If you immediately shift your focus to the next goal, like $20,000 or building an emergency fund or whatever makes sense for your situation, you keep momentum. You keep your mind engaged. You don't have time to convince yourself that you deserve that new truck or that vacation or whatever it is your brain wants to buy. The real danger of hitting $10,000 isn't that you've made bad decisions. It's that you've made good ones and your brain is going to reward you by trying to undo them. This trap catches so many people because they genuinely feel like they've earned the right to spend. They compare themselves to where they were a year ago, and they've made incredible progress. They compare themselves to their friends, and they're way ahead. But they don't compare themselves to where they're going to be if they resist the urge to spend right now. Because if you keep that $10,000 and keep adding to it, in 5 years you're going to look back at this moment and realize that this was the moment that changed everything. This was the moment you chose wealth instead of comfort. This was the moment beat the trap. Most people don't have the discipline to make that choice. Most people see the $10,000 and they see a green light to finally live the life they thought they were earning. But the person who sees it as a tool, as a weapon, as the beginning of something much bigger, that person is going to win the money game.